Officers Miriam Chief of Police Jim Browning and Captain Carl Foster were all here, and they've submitted this case to the TV show Unabsolved Mysteries. Or is it Unabsolved Miseries?
Unsolved.
Unabsolved Miseries. And what a weird show that is. But they get results on that thing. And they do one of these stories, and by gum, if something doesn't happen, and somebody says, yeah, I remember, what became of her daughter?
The oldest girl?
I didn't know she had more than one.
She had two daughters.
She had two.
Yes.
The one that she said killed her husband.
I don't know.
I don't know what happened to her.
Let's go to the phones here. Do you guys remember Charlie Starkweather?
Oh, yeah.
Didn't he come through here?
Well, he was up in Iowa,
Nebraska.
Nebraska.
But he came through here, didn't he?
I don't remember that.
Let's go to Don here. Don, you're on KCMO. Hello, Don.
Hi, Mike.
Yeah.
Well, I don't remember too many things that happened in Independence, but I personally knew Sharon and James Kinne.
Is that right?
I went to the same church.
I'll be darned.
Now, the only thing that I remember was shortly after his death, she drove a 60 Thunderbird, and I remember how bad I wanted a 60 Thunderbird. Now, you asked those officers there if they remembered John McBurney. John McBurney was my cousin, and it was sometime, I guess, after this that I found it out, and I talked to him about it. And he told me that Sharon was down in Mexico, and some way she got loose.
Mm-hmm.
And that's about it.
But nobody ever heard anything after that?
Not that he ever told me.
Uh-huh.
But she was a strange person.
Well, I guess thanks for your call, Don.
Yeah.
And,
I'll see you.
well, was she a bad girl?
Well, I don't know. She killed 3 people.
Well, there were a lot of people who said she wasn't bad, though.
Oh, that's correct.
Said she's good. She just loses her temper or something. Let's go to Lou here. Lou, you're on KCMO.
Yes, these guys haven't told you one of the key players in this little drama.
All right, Lou, what is
One
it?
of them is Alex Peoples, who defended her.
And what?
And he died about 5-6 years ago of cancer. He became involved with Sharon Kinne when he was defending her. She got pregnant by him. She had a son.
Whoa, now, wait a minute. How do you know this?
I know this because I knew Alex Peoples. He was a well, laugh if you want to, but they either adopted or gave the child to a couple that had liquor store at Blue Ridge and 40 Highway. It was an Italian couple. Alex flew down to Mexico. The way she got out, she escaped, but he bribed her out. He paid the guards off.
How do you know this?
And nobody's ever, because I knew Alex.
And so what happened?
And that was her hold on him.
Okay, now, how did she get out of jail?
She escaped, but she got out of there, and it was because he paid off some guards to let her go.
We weren't laughing at you, Lou. We knew Alex people, too.
What? You what?
Say, we weren't laughing at her. We knew Alex people, too. That's why we were laughing.
Well, what about him?
Well, he was her attorney. And
Well, did you know about
I don't know about any of this stuff that she's talking about, no.
Well, I know that the lawyers went to Mexico on at least 2 occasions and tried to get her released. But I don't know anything about them giving money. But each time they went down there, they said that they thought they were going to get her released, and then the Mexican government wouldn't release her.
Yeah, but I can imagine. You take 10 grand down there to one of those Mexican guards and say, here's this, unlock the door, and you can get somebody out, couldn't you?
Well, or else they'd say, they'd take the 10 grand and then say, go get 10 grand more.
Well, that's what they do. That's what they do now. Now, we never want to get thrown in one of those places, do we?
Absolutely not.
Let's go to Herman here. Herman, good morning. You're on KCMO.
Yeah.
Oh, that's Herman Davis.
Yeah, I'm the one.
Hi, Herman.
Hi, Herman.
Hi. Who is it?
This is Jim Browning.
Oh, Jim, where are you?
Well, I'm sitting here looking at Mike Murphy.
Oh, you're in the station house?
Well, no, we're in
the firehouse.
Well, I've had about a half a dozen calls from people telling me to get on and listen because they're talking about Sharon Kinne.
Well, what do you know?
And as long as you're there, you know the whole story, so I guess you don't need me.
Well, let me say who you are, Herman. This is Herman Davis. At the time was the supervisor of the criminal laboratory in Kansas City, Missouri Police Department. He's the one that came to the scene initially, and he's the one that examined the crime scene and gave us a lot of information that we needed.
What did you think at that time when you came there, Herman?
Well, I was thinking that I wasn't going to do the dermal nitrate test on that little girl. She was asleep in the playpen.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't do me any good because I could see on the marks on the pillow that the gun had been fired as it was laying on its side on the pillow. The smoke discoloration on the pillow proves that.
So what did you think?
I think the little girl couldn't reach that point.
So you didn't believe the story?
I didn't believe the story at all, and I knew that the little girl didn't fire the gun.
Did you say that to these other guys?
I told them.
What did you guys remember about what he said?
Oh, I remember he said exactly what he just said.
But you didn't buy what he was saying.
Well,
She said that the little girl, she was fixing dinner, and then she heard the little girl say, "Show me how it works, Daddy." And
That's right.
bang, she heard a shot. She went in there, and he had been hit in the back of the head with a bullet.
Well, was your evidence ever introduced into this?
Well, we had tried. Yes, I think so. I still have the photographs of the pillar and all of that, and I made test shots.
So you knew right away, right from the first hour you were there?
Herman, do you recall that this is Bill Morton?
Oh, Bill Morton?
Yeah, how you doing?
Yeah, are you still down at Central Missouri?
No, I'm not down there anymore.
You retired.
Right.
Well,
You recall that you did some tests on that gun and required a 3.5-pound pull.
yeah.
And then-
while we
then-
were there, you got the little girl up, and she,
Right.
she couldn't even pull the trigger. could
Yeah,
she?
but I thought that we finally determined it was possible for her to pull that trigger.
Well, maybe we did. I don't remember exactly, but
You never was a fan of that dermal nitrate test. You remember that case out in Kansas, that gasoline dealer out there,
yeah.
where you testified for the defense?
I don't remember what it was, but
Well, listen, Herman, I appreciate your call here.
the thing is that the dermal nitrate test would not tell us anything at all,
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't indicated that night because we could see that the gun where it was fired. And another thing, too, Bill, you know, we used a new test that time, which is an associated event where we put that rabbit out and reproduce the...
Right. That was in
That was a different
that was in
case,
Patricia Jones' case. That was in where you developed the.
But we never got credit for that. Then Jim Browning is the one that should have credit for using that associated event thing way back in, what was that, 1961?
60.
In 60.
Yeah, May 1960, she killed
Yeah.
Patricia Jones.
Yeah, well,
I think Jim said he killed those. What did you say you killed, Jim? When you
the larva.
The larva. He
The
killed
larva.
the larva.
yeah, he gave me the little sample of the larva, which I could, under the microscope, I could determine about what kind of a larva it was, and also the stage of development.
Hmm.
And that was a different case, of course.
I'll be darned.
But it was interesting to note that Jim got a letter from her daughter, wasn't it? Patricia Jones's daughter, after she's grown up.
Yes.
Did he tell you about that?
Yes. He talked to me about it today.
Yeah, well, that's good.
Thanks for your call, Herman.
Okay, I'll see you.
Okay, that's
Herman Davis.
Herman Davis.
He was the supervisor of the crime lab in Kansas City, Missouri Police Department.
I'll be darned. And he knew right away.
Oh, yeah.
The Thunderbird sticks out in people's minds for some reason, and cars get into it, and they say, boy, a Thunderbird, that was a neat car.
Yes,
In those days, everybody wanted. Whatever became of that car? Did you ever hear?
There's still a
Ever had-
Thunderbird out there, but it doesn't look like the original one.
Out where?
They're still making Thunderbird.
Yeah, but whatever happened to this one?
Oh, the regular one? I have no idea.
I think people get that part of the.
Yeah,
I think people got the car. I think.
He may have taken it for his fees.
We'll be back here on Talk Radio 810 KCMO. We have the investigating officers that were there, Colonel William Morton, Miriam Chief of Police Jim Browning, and Captain Carl Foster. And what did you say, Jim, about this, that you think she's dead because if she wasn't, she'd be killing somebody else?
Yes, I think that she simply eliminates people that are in her way, and I think if she was alive, she'd be involved in some kind of killing. Another one.
But it's just fascinating to think of it. Where could she be?
It's hard telling in Mexico.
And just vanish. There are not many cases where they vanish and never hear another thing about it.
occasionally they did. In Mexico, they finally dug up some tourists in a beach down there that the police had been killing, and they had been missing for quite some time.
Let's go to Tom here for you. Tom, you're on KCMO.
Yeah, Michael, and good day to you.
Good day to you.
I worked with Kinne and his mother at Bendix, and the minute we heard that he had been shot by their daughter, everybody in our department said, no way, Jose.
Did you?
Absolutely.
What did he ever...
was the absolute sweetest guy, and she ran him to death.
What did he ever say? What did he say to you guys about her?
Well, he really didn't tell you as much about her, but he just loved his kids to death. Just absolutely gaga. But the funny thing about this whole thing was, did they look into the financial records while he was still alive? Because she kept him maxed out everywhere in town. I know that for a fact. She kept, his nose was on that grindstone, and she humped him, buddy. She worked him hard. She's something else.
We
don't need anybody like that.
Oh, no. Did you know her?
I didn't know her. His mother, yes, and him.
Yeah.
Because I talked to him at about 8:15, 8:30 that night. And, and I seen him, I didn't get word to it for 18 hours, about 2 days later. But the first thing everybody in our department said was, she finally did it.
She got him.
Yeah, they were going to get divorced on a Monday.
Yes. And she wanted everything, soup and nuts, buggy whips, and bulldozers. She wanted everything he had.
What about divorce?
They were going to file for divorce on Monday, and their shooting went down on Saturday.
Sunday, yeah. And so she had her, she could really plan. I mean, she had, she didn't miss out on much.
She knew what she was doing.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
yes, sir.
Tommy, thanks for your call here.
Okay, partner, thank you.
All right, here's Ed Moody here now. Gomer, how are you?
Hi, Mike, how are you?
Good.
Well, I think Detective Jim was right that if she were alive someplace, we'd be hearing from her because of another murder. But as I told you earlier, I crossed paths with Sharon when I was manager of the Fidelity and Deposit Bonding Company, and we had the bond on the mother who had been appointed guardian of the child. And Karen had just gotten released from Jeff City and came up to my office. It was in the month of December, just before Christmas. And she came into my office and wanted some of her money to buy her kid Christmas presents. And we handled the money for her mother, but we could not give the money out without a court order. But Sharon was very determined, hard eyes, a good-looking blonde in a hard-looking way. She had acne type of face, a little if you got up close to her. And she stared me right down and said, "I want that money." And
so you got her some money then, didn't you?
Well, yeah, I picked up the phone, and I was, of course, I knew the probate judge, and I called over to the judge, and I said, "Look," I said, "Sharon's here in the office and wants some money for Christmas presents." And so he said, "Well, how much does she want?" And I think we gave her like $1,000 or something. But he said, "Go ahead and give it to her." And he said, "I'll get the court order to you later." So we did. We gave her the money, and she hightailed it out of the office, but she didn't have a smile on her face or a thank you or anything after we gave her the check. She just turned tail and left the office. But that was the only time I'd ever seen the woman. She really had no business, even coming in the office because her mother was actually the guardian. But since Sharon's gotten out of the jail on that court order while she was in town, and we gave her the money, but I never will forget the woman's face.
Well,
probably about 5'4".
You thought she'd shoot you if she had a chance.
I just she was just mean looking. I didn't really think about getting shot, but she was just a hard looking gal, and I'm sure that carried through with her in her life.
Well, Gomer, thanks for your call.
Okay.
Hey, how's that place doing out in your center there?
Oh, it's doing great. We're getting ready to have you do some more ads for it.
I think I'll come out there today.
Okay.
Okay, buddy.
See you. Bye.
All right, now there's Ed Gomer Moody for you, and what a guy he is.
Mike, I think it's indicative of the type of woman she is, that she's willing to let her daughter grow up thinking that she killed her father.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She was cold.
I'd like to know where those kids are today, wouldn't you?
I thought they were in Alaska.
Mike, I used to call her, in talking with Sharon and interrogating her, I called her the pistol-packing mama, and I said, a gun in the hand around you is worth two in the holster. That's the first time I ever seen her kind of chuckle.
You know, if one of these shows gets... I bet there's somebody... there's always somebody that knows something, that they can find out, that this could come out. And wouldn't it be something to find out what happened to her?
Sure would.
And what happened to the kids?
Yeah.
And her parents and the whole bunch.
I think the last information I had about the kids was that the Kinnes had agreed to take the children.
The father, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this has been fascinating. What do you think will happen here? Do you think anybody's going to... Now, your daughter's working on this story.
Yeah, she's working on the story.
What does your daughter do?
She works for airlines, and she does part-time writing.
Well, what was her fascination with this?
Well, she's fascinated with it. She's thinking of what happened.
There's nothing bigger. There could be a book, or there could be a miniseries.
That's what she'd like to get.
This true crime is really hot, and this is one of the real ones
right.
that people
She's
remember.
still missing. And...
Let's see if we can get one more call here for you. Joyce, you're on KCMO.
Hi.
Hi.
Well, in the first place, I've been to Mexico, and every time they tell that story about her breaking out of a Mexican prison, even being bribed, I sort of laugh because if you go in there, and if you're a gringo, you go in there and they don't even find you for 6 months.
Yeah.
They don't know who you are or where. But the one point that I wondered was, to me, it's complete incompetence on the man that was supposed to test the gun. Why he didn't submit her to a test, I don't understand that. To me, that's sloppy police work. I don't think that was right. She got away with murder simply because they didn't do the job they should have.
What about that?
Well, the dermal nitrate test is what you're talking about, and Mr. Davis, who's nationally known, renowned in this business, he thinks that dermal nitrate test is unreliable. And the Warren Commission, during the Kennedy assassination, proved that out. They had a group of 600 people. 200 fired the guns continuously, 200 fired intermittently, 200 did not fire, and they run the dermal nitrate test on all of them.
Thank you, guys. And what?
And some of them that didn't even fire tested positive. And so, too many things give false readings on this, and that's why Mr. Davis did not do that test.
The investigating officers of the Sharon Kinne case, William Morton, Miriam Chief of Police Jim Browning, and Captain Carl Foster. Merry Christmas to you guys.
Same to you, Mike.
Thanks for coming down. Fascinating case.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you for being with us, and we'll be back, and we're going to analyze your dreams here in the next hour. Lori Downs here on Talk Radio 810 KCMO.
Here's some special ideas and special savings to give your home the beautiful look and fragrance of Christmas. First, check out the huge selection of fresh fir Christmas trees that are arriving right now at Suburban Lawn and Garden. Each tree was specially picked from the base of Mount Hood, then shipped directly here so they'll be fresh for you, not dried out. And they're all soft, velvety, fragrant firs like Grand, Shasta, Noble, and Douglas firs. And these beauties start at only $9.99. Only $9.99. You can't buy one cheaper except at Mount Hood. Want a live Christmas tree that you can plant outdoors after Christmas? Suburban's got beautifully shaped potted spruce from only $6.99. Suburban has Christmas decorations from around the world, plus tons of fragrant evergreen roping and wreaths. And Suburban's got thousands of red, pink, white, and multicolored poinsettias, the best-looking ones in the whole city, all homegrown in Suburban's greenhouses while they last from $4.99. Make your home look and smell beautiful. Go to Suburban's Christmas stores at either 105th and Row or 135th and State Line.
KCMO Headline News brought to you by the Honda Shop. 38-year-old Michael Turner, who escaped from guards last week while being transported from Leavenworth Prison to the federal courthouse in KCK, has been shot to death in a confrontation with KC, Missouri police. It happened early yesterday morning. Now the weather, the important thing to tell you about. Winter storm watch for tomorrow. For today, a cloudy, cold afternoon expected. Temperatures forecast to remain in the lower 30s with north winds 10 to 15 miles an hour, dropping wind chills back into the teens. Tonight, cloudy, a 30% chance of freezing drizzle. Tomorrow, freezing rain, significant accumulation possible. Right now in Kansas City, haze and 32 degrees.
Bringing Kansas City radio into the 90s.
Joe Montana, arguably the best quarterback in football history, has become the fifth in NFL history to exceed 40,000 yards passing. Big moment.
Talk Radio 810, KCMO, Kansas City.
KCMO.
It's 11 o'clock in Kansas City.
CBS News, I'm Bill Lynch. The Clinton administration is denouncing as untrue and reckless the claim by House Speaker-to-be Newt Gingrich that up to 1/4 of the White House staff has used illegal drugs in recent years. Chief of Staff Leon Panetta said Gingrich, quote, has to stop behaving like an out-of-control radio talk show host. Correspondent Rob Armstrong has more.
Newt Gingrich accepted his party's nomination to be the next Speaker of the House, which makes his election in January all but a certainty. But afterward, he ducked reporters, and his spokesman, Tony Blankley, said he will not be taking questions today, especially about his allegations of drug use by the White House staff.
Is he having any second thoughts? Is he having any second thoughts or what?
No allegations other than what he said yesterday.
Is it appropriate for the Speaker of the House to be making these kinds of comments in a public forum?
Yes, absolutely.
Why?
Because it's a public issue. And he was asked the question on television, and he gave an honest public answer.
Meanwhile, House Republicans elected Dick Armey of Texas to